Hello, good people of Earth. It is Unfiltered Take Time. I hope you're doing well today. I'm going to be talking about a very interesting topic within the Doctor Who fandom, sort of a contentious issue that is hotly debated right now. Maybe not hotly debated, but it's at least debated, because we are talking about what is going to happen with the show going forward, given that we're sort of in limbo right now with the show. We don't really know what's going on. And I was watching a video from one of my favorite Doctor Who themed YouTube channels, and they were talking about this, so I did what a lot of people who are online commentators might have done in that scenario. I immediately paused it and came over here to make my own video, because I have to get my thoughts out on this. So, the question of whether we should reboot Doctor Who has arisen. And reboots are interesting in the Doctor Who fandom because we don't really get reboots like other fandoms do. We don't really get a thing where it's like, okay, we're going to completely wipe the slate clean with regard to lore and story, and everything that happened before did not happen. This is essentially square one. We don't really get that with Doctor Who. What we do get is this sort of soft reboot thing where it's like, okay, we're going to get a new showrunner, we're going to get a new person to play the Doctor, we're probably going to get new cast, crew, and behind-the-scenes people of all sorts. And this can be a jumping on point, so if you have never seen the show before, you can start from here and start from scratch and you'll understand it just fine. That's typically the type of reboot we get in the Doctor Who fandom. But it seems to me that people might be discussing rebooting the show in general. Well, I don't think we should reboot the show full stop. And the reason is, I think getting to know the Doctor is one of the most interesting parts of the show. And if you don't like the current era of the show, the new era can essentially ignore the last era without completely throwing out the lore. However, as you've seen from the title of this video, probably, I think there is a little bit of a wrench in that nowadays. I don't think we should reboot the show full stop, but I think we need to fix something in the show. Now, I'm going to talk about something in a second which I am going to say that some people are ignoring. When I say people are ignoring this, I don't mean that they're doing it out of malice or even intent. I don't think that people who are ignoring this are just intentionally waving away the fact of this and just pretending it doesn't exist. I don't think anything like that. I think people in the Doctor Who fandom, for the most part, have opinions that are genuine. They're just talking about what they genuinely feel. I think the reason why a lot of people are ignoring this is maybe just because maybe they haven't thought about or agreed with me about how serious it is, but I'm going to make a little bit of a case here for why I think we need to fix this issue. And that issue is the Timeless Children. That infamous episode that aired during season 12, which was Jodie Whittaker's second season. Now, first of all, I have to say, I have great respect for Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, not just respect, I actually really like Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. And Chris Chibnall, I have respect for him and what he was trying to do. I think some of the stuff he did was good, but I think The Timeless Children was a big misstep. And I have to say, this Timeless Children rewrite, and spoilers ahead, I will talk about it just briefly in case you don't know about it. The Timeless Children essentially says that the Doctor, being a character who gets a new body every few years, and Jodie Whittaker's Doctor is the 13th Doctor with some wibbly-wobbly exceptions in the middle. This is essentially thrown out now because there are incalculable numbers of Doctors that came before the first Doctor. The actor we knew as the first actor to play the Doctor was William Hartnell. Of course, he's still the first actor chronologically because that's how time works, but now it's saying there's previous Doctors that were before him. And not to mention the stuff with the lore, with the Time Lords, which is now changed because apparently for a lot of that they were lying. I have to say, guys, while I understand why he was doing this to try to restore some of the mystery with the Doctor, I think this was a huge misstep. Because in my view, I do not think that this works. I think this actually is detrimental to what the fandom of Doctor Who is. Maybe not necessarily just the lore itself, but things like that don't exist in a vacuum. Shows exist to be enjoyed by fandoms, and part of being a Doctor Who fan, in my opinion, is every time you watch a new era of Doctor Who, you get to know a new Doctor, and you can go back to the past and get to know those previous Doctors, sometimes by watching classic Doctor Who. And even if you don't watch classic Doctor Who, the fact that you know, oh, this is the 13th Doctor, this is the 14th Doctor, it means there have been 14 actors to play this role. It's very distinct in terms of sci-fi. And even if you don't go back and watch those previous eras, just knowing that you could know all of these doctors and get to know more and more about the Doctor given the Doctor's past, and the only thing we really don't know about the Doctor is what happened before we got to know the first Doctor. That's an era that's shrouded in mystery of the Doctor's life. Now, we don't know everything that's happened, of course, in the Doctor's lives, because not everything is recorded. A lot of things happen off screen, but there is some mystery to the Doctor, but at the end of the day, you can still get to know the Doctor and see who the Doctor is. It feels like our Doctor. In my view, another part of what makes the Doctor so great is knowing that he stole a TARDIS and ran away from Gallifrey, and that is what set up his journey. And he ran away not because he had to, but just because he was afraid. And he wanted to rebel against the society, and he wanted to go away. All of that is super intriguing, and The Timeless Children changes both of those things. The Timeless Children says, there are now lots of Doctors that you do not know, so this character that you thought you knew, that you've been getting to know for a very long time, if you've been a long Doctor Who fan, and it also says that when the Doctor stole the TARDIS, because of the introduction of the Fugitive Doctor, another Doctor in the Doctor's timeline, which seems to predate Hartnell by all the clues on the screen, and has a TARDIS yet does not recognize the sonic screwdriver, that seems to indicate that the Doctor has stolen the TARDIS before. Of course, the Division also came back and said something kind of to that effect, which almost makes the Doctor stealing the TARDIS seem more like a matter of destiny. So now you've got this relatable character that you can get to know all their lives, and you can see what happened with their past, and they didn't have to do what they did, but they did, and it makes it relatable. Now you've changed the story of them stealing the TARDIS, and you've changed the fact that you can get to know all of these Doctors. And in my view, no matter what you do going forward with the reboot, no matter what you do to try to say this is a fresh new start, I think for people who are long-term Doctor Who fans, this is a big problem that rewrites a lot of the... It's not just that it rewrites the canon, it rewrites the character of the Doctor. And you never really feel like you're getting a fresh start, because you say, oh, I know that those previous eras existed and I could go back and watch them, but this is what's going on now. Now there's all these mysterious eras that have happened before, and I think it's just so distracting. And guys, I respect Chibnall for giving it a good try here. But guys, this happened 5 years ago. We've been trying to make this thing work that entire time. This whole time we've been trying to make this Timeless Children thing work. Chris Chibnall tried it. He tried to do something with it. Russell T Davies picked it back up, added some more mystery to it, messed with it a little bit, even did some stuff with the toy maker, which might kind of fix some of it. But even that, I just think it's a different show now. I think the show doesn't feel like it did before. Yes, I understand the show is about change, but the show, ironically, is also about tradition. The show is, hey, we get an actor to play this role, and you can go back and see the other actors who played that role. Now there are incalculable numbers of mysterious other faces that the Doctors had. It just kind of changes what the show even is. Regardless of whether you care about canon or not, I think changing the central emotional appeal of the character and sort of the premise of the show is a big problem. So I think we need to rewrite this. And there's all kinds of things we could do to undo the Timeless Children. Yes, it would be clunky, but speaking quite frankly, this is Doctor Who. We could say that the Master is the Timeless Children. That's one of my least favorite options, but it could work, because as many people have pointed out, saying that the Master is the Timeless Child actually would have been really intriguing given with what we know about the Master's past and him being manipulated by the Time Lords, where he had to look into the time vortex, and the Master's unhinged nature. Wouldn't it be so weird and kind of cruel and almost poetic in a way if the reason why he was like that was because the Time Lords did that to him and now they're opposing him all the time? That would be a very sort of deep character look at what kind of things can lead someone to be the way they are. That would be very interesting. But, of course, the Timeless Child is the Doctor, and it was so weird that it seemed like the Timeless Child was going to be the Master, and then it turned out to be the Doctor. It's like, that would have been a really great twist, so maybe you could just fix that twist. And what would we do with Jo Martin's Doctor? I don't know, maybe she was a Doctor who was regenerated from William Hartnell's Doctor right before he stole the TARDIS, and the Time Lords sent that Joe Martin Doctor on a secret mission, and then allowed one time for the Doctor to switch his face back to what it was before. It could be something like that. Like I said, this is Doctor Who. It's goofy. We can write all kinds of things in there to deal with that. We don't have to have it be this thing where it has to line up with everything. We could even just ignore certain things. But I think the show should make a conscious effort to try to fix this, because some people have said, well, why don't we just ignore the Timeless Children? Well, it was very recent, but it was simultaneously 5 years ago. So I think it's time to say, you know what, we tried this thing, it doesn't work, let's just undo it. Just like Russell T did with the, not Russell T, just like Stephen Moffat did with the Time War. We used the Time War for a while, not that the Time War didn't work, it worked very well, but after a certain amount of time, Stephen Moffat decided to say, okay, well now we're gonna rewrite this, and maybe something different happened. And I think that's okay to do in Doctor Who. I mean, what's Doctor Who without a good retcon? Spoiler alert, I really don't like retcons, but in this case, I think I can make an exception. But I want to know what you guys think about this. Do we need to actually fix this? Because I think if we fix this, then all of the people going forward who are going to watch Doctor Who, and all the new people, so all the people who've been watching it for a while, and all the new people, they can kind of break bread together, and it can be the thing where we're all on the same page now, where someone who is new to the show says, hey, what was that first incarnation like? What was that fourth incarnation like? And I can tell them, and I don't have to say, oh, but there's also, like, maybe dozens of other incarnations or hundreds of other incarnations that we don't even know about. That's just, I don't like that. So I think this will improve and not that having a mystery is bad, or that you have to know everything, or you're not a real fan. Of course, I don't gatekeep. If you watch or read one Doctor Who thing and you like it, you're a Doctor Who fan. But at the same time, I think there is a certain amount of respect to be had for people who've spent a lot of their lives getting to know what this show is. So doing that, I think, might bring a little bit of that back, and would kind of unite the fandom again, and maybe we can move forward past this and have the show on our screens again. Because I'm not going to lie to you guys, I really don't like the idea of the show being off screen for a few years. It's probably going to happen no matter what, but when it does come back, wouldn't it be nice if, after a brief amount of time dealing with this, we can just move forward and kind of get what the show was back a little bit more. I want to see what other great people are going to play the Doctor. I don't know, because nowadays we've set it up where pretty much anyone can play the Doctor, and I like that. And I want to see what they do with the show going forward. So let me know what you guys think about this. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, allons-y!